A traveler walking near a lonely railway cutting noticed a man standing by the tracks. He wore an old uniform and stood motionless by the tunnel's entrance, gazing into the dark. The traveler called down. The man didn't move. Only after a moment did he raise a trembling hand and signal him to come closer. Down by the tracks, the signalman seemed distant, troubled. He worked alone, deep within the stone walls and steel rails, surrounded by shadows and echoing whistles. Then he confessed something strange. He had been seeing a figure, always at the tunnel entrance, always with its arm raised, waving as if to warn him, and always followed by disaster. The first time, there was a terrible train crash, dozens dead. The second, a young woman died in a passing carriage. No explanation. Now, the figure had appeared again, its mouth open, as if crying out, but no sound came. The traveler tried to reason with him. Perhaps it was stress, isolation, but the signalman only stared into the tunnel, waiting. Days later, the traveler returned. This time, the man did not respond. He had been struck, killed on the tracks, and the driver of the train said he had sounded his horn, waved both arms, and shouted a warning, just like the ghost. It was a cold, wet night when a quiet English family sat by the fire. Mr. White, his wife, and their grown son Herbert were at ease, laughing, playing chess, enjoying the warmth of their home. Then came a knock at the door. An old soldier entered, Sergeant Major Morris. He carried something odd in his pocket, a dried, shriveled monkey's paw. He warned them it was cursed. 3 wishes it grants, but never without consequences. He tossed it into the fire. Mr. White snatched it out. That night, he held the charm and whispered his wish. I wish for 200 pounds. The next day, Herbert went to work. By noon, a man stood at their door. He came from the factory. There had been an accident. Herbert was gone. The factory denied fault, but offered a compensation, 200 pounds. Days passed in grief. Then one night, Mrs. White woke with wild eyes. The paw, she cried. Wish him back. Terrified, Mr. White lifted the cursed thing again. I wish my son alive again. They waited. Wind howled. Then came a knock at the door. 3 loud, deliberate knocks. Mrs. White screamed with joy, rushing to open it. But Mr. White, pale, shaking, grabbed the paw a final time. I wish him dead again. The knocking stopped. When she opened the door, there was nothing, just the wind. He was calm, precise, even gentle. But beneath it all, madness simmered. There was an old man he lived with, kind, harmless. Yet something about him stirred a sickness deep in the younger man's soul. It wasn't his voice, not his face. It was his eye. Cloudy, pale, like a film stretched over glass. A vulture's eye, cold and unblinking. Each night, the younger man crept silently into the old man's chamber. For 7 nights, he watched, waited, but the eye was always shut. He couldn't strike, not until it opened. On the 8th night, the old man stirred. A creak gave the intruder away. Who's there? The old man whispered into the dark. His eye opened, wide and pale in the moonlight. That was enough. The younger man lunged. A scream, a struggle, a sudden silence, then stillness. He hid the body beneath the floorboards, every trace erased. When the police arrived, he welcomed them with a smile. They sat and talked in the very room where the old man lay hidden. He laughed, told stories, showed no fear. But something began to change. A sound, soft at first, ticked beneath the floor, faint, then stronger. A heartbeat. It pounded louder and louder. He clenched his fists, grit his teeth, but the sound grew, thundering through his skull. The officer said nothing, didn't seem to hear, but he heard it. The heart, the dead man's heart, still beating. And in a burst of horror, he broke. Stop it, he screamed. Tear up the planks, here, here. It's the beating of his hideous heart.